It's been more than 6 months now since Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced a draft referendum question for the Indigenous Voice to Parliament. But trying to get more details from his government as to what that model might look like is like pulling teeth. Minister for Indigenous Australians, Linda Burney, this week.
There'll be more information coming out about the voice when the time is right. Those that don't come on board are holding the country back.
And in the space of just a couple of days, we've seen the Prime Minister sending some very mixed messages.
I say to those opposite, I ask them to join me in having an open mind, but importantly an open heart when it comes to these issues. If we do not recognise Indigenous Australians in our Constitution this year, when will we? When will we?
Anthony Albanese is accusing some critics of an Indigenous voice to Parliament of spreading lies and stoking a culture war.
Yes, there are already people out there pushing misinformation on social media, drumming up outrage, trying to start a culture war.
So the government has gone from stonewalling on details to attacking those who ask for them. Nice. No wonder frustration is building. But judging from some in the media, it's most unreasonable to ask in the first place. ABC's 7:30 chief political correspondent, Laura Tingle.
The whole question of the voice, whatever that is, who sits on it, where the offices will be, all of this sort of noise that we're getting, that's up to the Parliament. Peter Dutton, with this sort of suggestion that it's all about, details that we don't have and everything. What do you want to do? Does he want to put all of this in the Constitution? That hobbles the Parliament. That reduces the Parliament's capacity to say what this body should look like.
Ah, yes, because it's only minor details the coalition is seeking, right? Wrong. At least Tingle's colleague Patricia Karvelis was prepared to press the government on this issue.
Will this voice have a seat at the National Cabinet? Will it?
The National Cabinet, as you know, Patricia, gets advice from many places.
The question is whether they will have a permanent seat.
The National Cabinet is able to seek advice from wherever they like, and that's their prerogative.
Yes, but on that question, do you think it should have a permanent role on the National Cabinet?
I think the Voice is an advisory body, as detailed in the Uluru Statement, to the Parliament of Australia.
3 times Burney was asked this question, and 3 times she ducked the question. Talk about farcical. Only after this interview was aired did the government confirm the Voice would not have a seat at National Cabinet. This is policy making on the run. As the Australian's Dennis Shanahan observed this week, it is clear there are government concerns that a meant demand for detail, a rush to the referendum about warnings and a lack of common sense processes are threatening to turn people off a voice to Parliament because they don't understand it. Now, trying to control the fallout, the government has attempted to shift attention to the opposition. A reminder to the media, this referendum is Albanese's responsibility, not Peter Dutton's. Credit to the Fin Review's Jennifer Hewitt for reminding Nine Newspapers' David Crowe of this on Insiders last weekend.
And even in Anthony Albanese's own words, he's actually almost inviting Peter Dutton and others to come up with an alternative form of words, which they have not done yet.
But it's not the form of words. This is the big risk for the government, because people say, well, yes, that's a reasonable idea, but what actually is it? And the fact that they've got no concept of it yet, I don't think is going to be resolved by saying it's just about recognition and consultation.
And on that note, what do you make of this remark by ABC political editor Andrew Probyn?
But if the Liberals demand detail that's reasonably left to Parliament to sort out, the debate on the Voice will further sour, potentially dooming the referendum to failure.
What on earth was that? Journalism or just narrative building? Nick, interested to get your thoughts. What do you make of the way that Albanese is handling the Voice from, a public relations point of view?
I think he's the best spokesman for the no case there's been, really. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, I can see fewer reasons why I should possibly vote yes in this referendum. And I think the media, the way it's behaving, is going along as his perfect ally. You know, people aren't stupid, and they react to being talked down to in this way. You know, the government's been handling this as if it's some kind of kelpie, you know, trying to nip at their legs and bite their nose and push them in the right direction. People are smarter than that, and I think that the demand for the detail that Peter Dutton is asking, he's simply responding to what I'm hearing as I ask people around the country, wherever I am. I'll always ask on this issue, and most people haven't really got a clue what it is or what it looks like.
Yeah, Caroline, Nick's right, isn't he? What makes me nervous is how defensive they are being about any questions. And I'll make a point as well that Anthony Albanese, in an interview with The Guardian, painted any opposition to the proposals either being hard left or hard right in a way that only Anthony Albanese's perspective is moderate.
You've got to live in a small bubble to believe that's the case, don't you? And look, Linda Burney this week, she admitted that there are some people who just don't understand it. Well, and I'm one of those people who has asked for more information, but I'm not interested in dotting I's. I'm not interested in crossing T's. I'm not interested in teasing out but if people don't understand the basic function of this, well then how can you expect that they will be able to make an informed decision as to whether they support it or not? And we know it's very hard to get up a referendum in this country. Why make it harder than it needs to be? And then a comment like that from Anthony Albanese, well then it makes people think, well, if I don't agree with his position, even though I don't know what it is that I'm meant to be voting on, whether I agree with it or not, well, then I'm the problem. And I don't think that that's a great way to try and endear an idea to the Australian voter.
Yeah, it's not very uniting,
no,
is it?
No, it's not helpful.